I'm going to show you how to glue baste fabrics together using the Rowley Company Fringe Adhesive. This is a great product to use to apply fringe to your drapery panels and your cornices and other projects. But it's also a great tool in the workroom to baste fabrics together. I like using the fringe adhesive instead of pins for something like a shaped banding where I've turned the face fabric under and then I have my banding fabric on the table. I'm just going to put small dots of glue along just the seam allowance only. It doesn't look like I'm using very much, and I'm not using very much. It's just little quick dot, 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 dot of glue. Bring that down, and when you use a hot iron and press it, that will hold it in place good enough for you to take it to the sewing machine and then lift up the fabric and stitch right into that seam allowance. After I glue basted, I sewed the face fabric to the banding fabric, and I went ahead and cut a shape out of the bottom. Now I'm going to use the fringe adhesive to glue baste the face fabric with the banding onto a piece of inner lining. It's great to treat the face fabric and inner lining as one, and the fringe adhesive allows you to baste around the edges. You don't have to stick a bunch of pins along the edge. You can see how fast this goes. Just dot, dot, dot of little bits of glue, and then again I'll press this down. You can also use the fringe adhesive to glue baste around the edges. If you're making a pillow, for example, and you wanted to glue baste a piece of lining to the pillow before you sewed it together, just dot, dot, dot around the edges of the fabric to the inner lining, steam it in place, and then you're ready to sew. I'm going to add welt cord to the bottom of this valance sample, which I've pre-made. I'm going to glue baste that right around the bottom edge. Having the cording or any trim glue basted helps to prevent it from shifting and riding up as you're sewing. Often when you're sewing, the sewing machine pushes things forward, and this will hold everything in place and prevent riding up as you're sewing. So it's just a dot, dot, dot of glue. Place the cording. Then I'm going to hit it with the iron again. And on curved edges, I might have to clip a little bit, even though this is bias cord. Take a few clips in it. Keep putting the glue along. You want to make sure it's just in the seam allowance and not above. So now the inner lining is glue basted to the back of the fabric, and the cording is glue basted to the front of the banding fabric. And now when I go to the sewing machine and sew on the welt cord, it'll be perfect. No puckers, and I don't have any pins to remove while I'm sewing, which really is a time saver. The fringe adhesive does not bother your sewing machine needles, and you're actually not even sewing into the adhesive. You're sewing next to it because the adhesive is in the seam allowance. The welt cord has been sewn on at the bottom after it was glue basted. And now I can place this face down on the lining fabric. And again, I'm going to use the fringe adhesive to baste the front to the back, and that is going just in the seam allowance. You don't want to get it next to the cord too close. Just a dot, 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 dot. And I like to have different size glue bottle nozzles. So I have some that are cut off with a little small bead and some that are cut off with a large bead. And I have it marked on the glue bottle, which it is, so I don't forget. Then I'm going to steam that down. and then go to the sewing machine, and I can sew along here quickly. Don't have to pull out pins. I don't have to worry about the lining bunching up or the face fabric riding up between the pins. So I sewed the front to the back after I glue basted everything together. And I've used the Rowley 3/32 soft welt cord in the edge, which I think is a perfect size. It's large enough where you can see, but it's small enough to give a fine detail.